Alright legends, welcome along to a brand new video. We're going to get into some story time videos for the next goodness knows how long. And this one came to mind after a short that I created this morning on the channel, which was about, having the hunger for a project, and, talent isn't always the deciding factor and something. So, something that happened to me, probably going back 7 years at this point, was a project I was involved in where I was director and editor on the project. And when it comes down to the sort of person that you want for a project, if you looked at it by the qualifications people have, I was the last guy to be on that project, but I had the hunger to get the project done right. It was just a project that really resonated with me. But on the project we had a producer and a director of photography that was just butting heads with me the whole way through it. Couldn't agree on anything. There was a huge dialogue sequence in the short film. I don't want to get into too many details about the short film itself, but there was two women in the short film, and essentially one woman, younger woman, the story she was going through in the short film was like the mirror image of what the older woman had gone through. And when I was reading the script for this thing, it was like, this has to be shot in a way where these two women are face to face all the time in this short film, because the older woman is a future version, and the mind of the younger woman, the older woman is a future version of her. She doesn't want to go down that path. She wants to do something else. So for me, hands down, that's the way it had to be done. This one woman is facing down her future. They've got a heated discussion, let's just say. Now, the big thing that the big mistake people make whenever they're making things is they'll come up with an idea, and I've fallen into this trap in the past as well. You'll come up with an idea, you'll shoot it, you'll get it made, you'll put it out there, makes 100% sense to you, but doesn't make any sense to anybody else, because you've shot it in a way that only makes sense to you. There's no, a lot of people will pull stuff out that they really need in there. The stuff, the setups, like a lot of the setups that you need for something will be taken out, because why do I need this? I already know what's going on, but somebody else watching it isn't going to understand what's going on. Before I started putting videos out on YouTube, I used to create videos and burn them to disk. That's how long I've been doing this. Before YouTube, I would have burned it onto a disc, gave it out to friends, let them watch it, and took their feedback. A lot of the early stuff was, that was cool, that looked really good, but what the heck was going on? So I've tripped over my own feet, fell quite a few times, learned from those mistakes, got back up onto the horse again, off we would go, try it again. So I've learned that in the past, whereas the producer I had was falling into that trap in this project. He wanted to cut a lot of the dialogue that was in this sequence. He wanted to cut a lot of that because he didn't think it was necessary, but it was pulling the setup of something that was going to happen later on out of it. So we were butting heads over that. The director of photography wanted to shoot it in a way that was very much like a Stanley Kubrick film, and he wanted to take that same sequence and have them do completely different things, whereas I wanted the face-to-face in the thing. He wanted to take one of the characters, put her somewhere else to do something during this dialogue scene. So they weren't actually, the way he wanted to do it, they weren't actually at any point, they were having a similar conversation, yes, but they weren't facing each other down, and it was taking away, in my mind, the impact that this sequence was going to have. So I was butting heads of him over that. The producer throughout the short film, like, eventually I had to just put my foot down and say, look, I'm the director here, this is the way I want to do it, and just had to overrule him, essentially. So we fought the bit out. I eventually got it done the way I wanted to get it done, and yes, we fought the bit out after the project was finished. The producer actually tried to take the edit off me. Now, the thing was with that, I was done at this point, but again, I had the hunger to get the project done. So I've been brought on as director and editor. I wanted to do the edit. For a second, I was thinking, screw this, I'm done with the drama. Somebody else can take it. But if there's going to be a third party editing something that you've done, there's a lot of record keeping that you need to do for that person just to keep them on track. Whereas me having been brought on as director, and editor in this project, I didn't keep the records because I didn't need to, because I was going to be editing it. So I was kind of editing in my head as we were shooting the whole thing. So I had to fight, had to bring the guy in that originally set the whole project up, and look, this is what's going on. Somebody tries to edit this thing, they're not going to understand what's happening here, why we've shot this, or like I'm going to have to be sitting over his shoulder to get it done anyway. So he stepped up, got the other two guys in line. I got the final edit, and the producer and the director of photography for a long time after it. These guys were sending cheeky emails, the whole thing online. Just nasty behaviour. Scoot ahead 6 or 7 months after this film goes out online. Now, I don't have it in my website. It's not a project. It's a project that I've got a lot of love for. I've got a lot of, it just resonated with me. Enjoyed making it, but the stress involved in it, I just kind of washed my hands of it at a certain point. I just gave it to the guy that was producing it. Stick it on your YouTube channel. I'm kind of done here. But I like to check on every once in a while on how this project's getting on now. These two guys just wrote me off from day one because I'm not a proper filmmaker. I'm not, in their mind anyway, because I don't have the qualifications. Afterwards, I did actually go get a qualification online. One of these qualifications that, at the end of the day, it's not difficult to get a qualification in something these days. Very, very simple. If you've got an interest in something, you can find a course online. Guy put me in touch with a course that was actually, you could do the course for free. All you had to do was pay for the qualification at the end of it, and it wasn't that expensive, so I went through it. Having gone through the whole process of actually making projects, tripping over my feet, trying again, I didn't even do the coursework for it. I just skipped right through that whole thing. Different segments, you would skip through it. You had to read all this stuff and learn it and whatnot, and there was a questionnaire at the end of each course segment, and depending on how you scored, depending on whether you got your qualification or not. Again, didn't do any of the coursework, just skipped right through to the questionnaire, got the qualification in less than 2 hours, I think, 2 or 3 hours at the very most. And at a certain point, I just thought to myself, this isn't worth the paper that it's printed on, because it didn't do me any good having that qualification. So there's actually a video on this channel somewhere where I burn the thing. I could just take it out, put a lighter to it, burn it, and that's crazy. People think to themselves, the qualification is the destination, but it's what you do afterwards. The whole process of actually learning something, getting that qualification for whatever it is you want to do in life, that's essentially just the training level of the video game of your life. You haven't even started the process of getting through the rest of the game of life. But you've got more people than enough these days that we have a piece of paper in the air and say, I've done it, sort of a thing. But the big thing about this story is these two guys, when it came down to it, if the three of us walked into a room, you would hire these two guys over me because they have that piece of paper. I made the decision to get rid of my piece of paper because it's not worth the paper that's printed on. I like to check in on that short film every once in a while because they made such a song and dance about how much of an unprofessional I was that once in a while I go to this kid's YouTube channel, check it out. Well, as I say, kid, he's up in his 30s now, I would say. I gave the movie to him, put it in your channel, so every 6 months or so I like to check and see how that film is done. Now he's done some more projects since that, but the project where I directed and edited is the most viewed short film on his account, and I'm sure it burns him alive every time he sees those figures. It's a shining example of, it's not all about the talent, it's about the hunger and the passion that you have for something in life. Passion and hunger will take you a lot further in life than most qualifications will. It's crazy that we've got to a stage that, again, people think that getting that piece of paper as the destination, where it's absolutely not. So if you're interested in doing something in life, you've got a passion for doing it, you've got the hunger for doing it, you're going to go much, much further in life than a lot of these guys are, that are only in it for the, oh, look at me factor, where, obviously that's what these guys were. Plus it was a simple course to do. It was one of these things in my mind, like, there's a lot of people I've met in life that have done courses and degrees and stuff, and it's all because, I don't want to go to work yet. This seems like a very simple thing to do, so they'll waste 3 or 4 years of their life as a student doing this sort of thing. And none of these guys are making cash at this point. And having said that, I don't make money from the stuff that I'm making these days either, but I do have the passion and the hunger to do this sort of thing. And I've watched these guys over the years, not just the two of them, like, there's other projects, this is just one example. There's a lot of people that I have worked with over the years on different things that have just burned out, essentially, because they don't have the hunger. If you don't have the hunger and you don't have the passion, you're going to burn out completely. I would say at this point probably 90%, I was going to say close to 100%, but there is quite a few guys I worked with in the past that are still doing this sort of thing, but only on a part-time basis. Like, not, I wouldn't even say a part-time basis, like, they're doing bits and pieces here and there, but they're not putting something out there regular enough that, I love this sort of thing. But 92% of the people I started out with have quit by now. So passion, hunger, if you've got it, you're going places.